Hello guys, in this video I want to talk to you about Dynamesh and Zremesher. I will tell you right now that as a beginner you will need Dynamesh the most. Maybe you will not even use Zremesher for some time because it's not so important for a beginner, because as a beginner you need to practice your sculpting, you have to understand how to see proportions, how to use brushes, etc, etc. And Dynamesh is a tool you need. For the first time of using ZBrush, most probably you will try to sculpt on your model. Right now, for example, I have a sphere here and I will be sculpting. Okay, no, not right now. Right now it's primitive currently. If it happens to you, as I already explained in my previous videos, you cannot sculpt on it. You have to go to the tool menu and press this button, make polymesh 3D, and it will create a polymesh 3D out of your primitive. And after that, you can start sculpting on your model easily, like this. Maybe standard brush is not a very suitable brush for this example because I want to affect our geometry even more. And I will choose a clay builder brush for this. I will right away show you polygons of this model by pressing Shift F, and it will show us the polygons. And as you can see, it's pretty much even. There are a lot of quads. Quads are polygons with 4 vertices. As you can see, these polygons have 4 vertices, and here on the top there is a little bit of a pinching. You can see it's very dark here. That's because in this specific spot, a lot of dots like meet each other. Like basically around this area, there are only triangles, and these triangles, they all share one point, and this point is this central point, and that's why, because a lot of triangles meet at one point, it creates such a pinching. Right now you can see it here on the polygons of your model as a black, like really like bright big black dot. And if I will basically go back to our shading, you cannot see any difference here in this pinching. But I don't know, this is a little bit off topic, but I will still show you what's happening when you have such pinching. If I will subdivide our model a little bit, we can see that after subdividing it, it has small little pinching here, like a little bit of a bump. I don't know whether you can see it on the video, but if I will zoom in, you can clearly see it here. Okay, this is absolutely off topic, but you have to understand that when a lot of points meet in one spot, it creates basically pinching like this. I wanted to show you these triangles on the top of the sphere because I wanted to basically tell that in ZBrush you can only work with triangles and quads. There are also n-gons. N-gons are polygons with 5 or more vertices, and ZBrush absolutely does not support them. You should not even try to create them. ZBrush will not allow you to create such polygons. In other programs like Maya, Blender, it's possible to work with n-gons, because these programs, they don't actually control it. They allow you to modify your mesh in any way possible for you to achieve the best result when it comes to subdivision modeling. Sometimes it's easier to work with n-gons and after that fixing them. In ZBrush, it's not possible. It will be very important for you to know this when we will start working with, how's it called? 1 second. With ZModeler. ZModeler is basically a tool that will allow us to work basically with polygonal modeling in ZBrush. That's off topic. Just memorize that ZBrush doesn't work with n-gons, and only quads and triangles. And we started from me showing you this basically polygons of this model, and we will return to this point right now and keep going, because it's very important to understand that on this model, polygons like evenly spaced. You can see that more or less, like here when it comes to this points, it's just, you can see that polygons start squeezing at this point. But here in the center, it's more or less spread normally in the same way. That's very important for sculpting. The more even topology of your model, the better the better it is for you to sculpt on it. But if I will use, for example, my clay builder brush, start sculpting like this a lot, it's a very like harsh stroke here. And right now, if I will enable, I will remove subdivision right now, 1 second. Yeah. If I will enable polygons, we can see that because of me sculpting on this model, it distorted like very severely. Like these polygons here are very huge. You absolutely don't want such polygons on your model because I will explain. Right now you will try to sculpt on them and you cannot sculpt, nothing changes. Because there is actually nothing to change, because when you sculpt, you interact with dots, basically. Dots, when I say dots, I mean polygons, points on your model. Here, there is no polygons, there is nothing, it's just a plain surface. If you sculpt on it, I will, for example, apply some brush strokes on it right now and nothing happening, because there is no polygons. If here there are polygons, look, there is polygon, I will start sculpting it, it goes up, because this polygon is being affected. But if I will sculpt in between of these polygons here, I don't know whether I can, yeah, I can decrease my brush size to this point. I'm sculpting here, nothing happening, absolutely, because we are not interacting with any of these dots. If I will increase the size of the brush and start sculpting on them, you can see that a lot of polygons are being affected. And it's very important to understand how sculpting actually works. So you basically interact with polygons. Here, you can see that there are no polygons. And what would you do in this situation? Because it's actually very bad. Like, you came to this point, you want to sculpt on this part of your mesh, and you cannot. It's actually not doing anything. Yeah, I can still sculpt these two polygons, but I mean vertices, but what will actually give it to you? It's not very effective, not helpful. That's why we want to dynamesh our model. By dynameshing, I mean basically rebuilding polygons of your model from scratch. All of this polygon structure will be gone after you dynamesh your model. It will be basically changed by another polygon structure that will be set based on your Dynamesh preferences. For you to find this Dynamesh option, you have to go to the tool menu here on the right side of your screen, and here there will be a geometry submenu. Press on it, and here you can see there is a Dynamesh subdiv. Yeah, dynamic subdiv. I'm sorry, it's not a Dynamesh option. Open it. I will tell you the most important functions of this Dynamesh submenu are: this Dynamesh button enables your Dynamesh. When you will set all the settings, you will just press on this button and it will Dynamesh your model. Simple, very simple. This group button, we will not go through it right now, because for you to understand what it does, you have to actually understand what polygroups are. Right now, we still didn't study polygroups yet, but I can tell you that I will explain this group option in the future lessons. Polish, you also will most probably not use it, then I will not talk about it right now. Blur, I will talk a little bit about it, but usually I put blur to 0, because basically blur, the more it basically the more value it has, the more your model will be blurred after you will dynamesh it. Then blurring it too much will basically, you will end up with losing details on your model. You don't need it sometimes. It's basically the same as smoothing, but by blurring it after dynameshing. Project will allow you to project your details on your dynameshed model from your previous model, but I don't recommend you to use it. It's not very helpful, and it will, if it's enabled, it will make your Dynamesh time significantly bigger and longer, and you don't want that. Just remove it, don't use it. Basically, you don't use groups, you don't use polish, and don't use project. Blur you can use if you want to blur your model. If you don't, just set it to 0. Resolution, very self-explanatory. The higher the number, the denser, the more polygons will be on your mesh after dynameshing. For example, right now our resolution is 128. If I will try to dynamesh this model, as again, I want to show you this part of the model because it's very important. You will see what will happen after we will dynamesh this model. After pressing on this Dynamesh button with resolution set to 128, we can see that distribution of our polygons happened. And right now we have even distribution. Yeah, it's not all quads. Like you see, there are a lot of triangles like here, but mostly quads. And it's absolutely good for sculpting. Don't worry about that. Having triangles like this is fine. The most important thing is that your basically mesh distribution is very even right now, and that's why we can sculpt in these areas right now, because there are actually polygons to interact with. If you want to get the same resolution of your mesh that you had before, there is a picker option here. You press on it, but not only once. You press on it and hold, and after that you just move your cursor on your mesh where you want to basically get a sample of density of your polygons. I will basically get it from here, and you can see it automatically set our resolution to 40. If I will press Dynamesh right now, the resolution will be more or less similar. You see, it didn't change much. That's what the speaker function does. But we lost a little bit here in details because this resolution is actually not enough for us to keep our details at place. Maybe it is enough. Yeah, I take my words back. Okay. If you will put the resolution to its maximum, it will make your mesh very dense, very dense. You see, it's almost black, especially if I will zoom out. It looks like a black sphere. Yeah. If I will, as if it has color on it. If I will zoom on the model, 1 second. Yeah, we'll keep zooming, and we can see that it has the same polygons, but they are very dense. Actually, we can see that here it says that there are 4 million active points on this sphere. This is very much. You don't want to dynamesh it so dense because it's very hard to actually sculpt in it right now. You can only dynamesh your model so dense when you already established all the shapes on your model and you want to add some tiny finesse, I don't know, it says finesse details. I'm sorry for my English, guys. And basically I will Ctrl Z on it. Yeah, we have our mesh back. What's more important? I will not right now go to concept of scale in Zbrush. It's a little bit more advanced, but I want you to know what this little circle does next to the resolution slider. Right now you can see that it's not opened, it's just a small little dot. And it's basically, in simple words, it says that when you have 128 resolution, it will give you less polygons on your mesh compared if you would press on it and after that Dynamesh. For example, right now we pressed on it, we can see that it's an open circle right now. And if I will Dynamesh, we will get this amount of details. See how dense the mesh is right now. If I will remove it and put it to small little dot like it was before in Dynamesh, okay, that's very interesting why it's happening like this. It's exactly because the scale of the model is correct. But if the scale of the model will not be correct, I will decrease it, for example, yeah. And we'll try to Dynamesh it with one small circle right now. We get very huge polygons. Like when we have 128 with closed circle here, polygons are really huge, but it's because of the scale. You saw I changed the scale of the model. Some of your models might have wrong scale, like this, for example, sphere does, and that's why when you will press on this dot and open circle will appear, the scale of your model will actually not affect your Dynamesh because you activated this option. If you press Dynamesh right now, it will give you normal polygons like you expected it to have, even though the scale is not correct. But with this option disabled, you get low resolution here, and you actually have to increase the resolution slider to get a normal resolution for yourself. Look, it's 808 and we got the same resolution as we had when it was 128 with open circle. It's crazy, guys. Just you get such results because of wrong scale of your mesh, and that's why this option might be very handy. Keep it in mind, it's very important to know. Sub projection, I don't think that you need it right now, and these options also, I don't think that they're very important for you. I think these options that I went through right now with you are very important for you as a beginner. Even as a more experienced artist, you will use most probably only these options. You will very rarely use this create shell option because it's usually used for 3D printing, such kind of stuff. And if in the future will want me to talk about 3D printing, I can gladly explain this option to you and a lot of other things when it comes to 3D printing, but this is not the point of this video. This is very important to know how to use Dynamesh. Right now, I think you know the most important things. And when it comes to Zremesh, here you can see that it has a Zremesh submenu here. Press on it. Basically, it might seem the same as Dynamesh for you, but I will tell you that Zremesh works a little bit slower when it comes to a high amount of polygons. Zremesh actually works much slower than Dynamesh, and at maximum you can see that it has target polygon count. At maximum, Zremesh allows you to Zremesh your model at 1,000 polygons. 100,000, yeah, 100,000 polygons. This 100 is not actually 100, it's 100,000. And everything here is in thousands. If you want to have, for example, 500 polygons, you will say you will set 0.5 here. Okay, Zremesh gives you better polygons, and it doesn't actually give you triangles usually. Always almost gives you quads. For example, I want to Zremesh it to 5,000 polygons, and if this adapt option here is activated, it means that it will try to preserve the shapes of your model as much as possible, but your polygon basically density will not be very even. It might be a little bit uneven because of this adapt function. If you don't want your polygons to be uneven, you want to remove it. In this case, I will keep it. Right now we set it to 5,000 polygons. We keep this adapt basically function and press Zremesh. As you can see, we have much more beautiful polygon mesh, much more beautiful. than we had before. Maybe in some cases you will find here triangles, but uh, at first look, I cannot see them basically. You need the Zremesh function when it comes to basically how to say it, to subdivision modeling, to subdividing your model. Because if you will subdivide your model with the mesh that you get, mesh quality that you get from Dynamesh, after subdividing your model, you might see some pinching, some artifacts, and you don't need that. That's why people usually use Zremesher to basically change their polygons, their mesh polygons. I their mesh polygons, yeah, correct. They change their meshes polygons using Zremesher, and after that they use subdivision on it. It's basically much more advanced topic than Dynamesh in your model. I don't know whether I should go through Zremesher and subdivision right now or maybe in another lesson. I can right now tell you the very basics of Zremesher and subdividing your model. Basically, key points in it is just you have to understand that you need to use Zremesher when basic shapes of your model already established and you want to proceed with even more fine details, because Dynamesh usually allows you to subdivide to Dynamesh your model at density no more than 5-6 million polygons, but with Zremesher and subdividing your model you can achieve up to 100 million polygons, and that will allow you to add much finer details on your model. I will show you on this example. For example, right now we have our model already Zremeshed and we have 5,000 polygons here. If I will go to this geometry menu here, we can see that it has this divide button, and this divide button will allow you to subdivide your model. When you subdivide your model, each of these quads will be subdivided, and each quad will become 4 quads. If we have right now 5,000 points, after subdividing it, I press this divide button right now. We got 21 because 5 multiplied by 4 will be 20. In this case it's 21, but you got the point. Right now, as you can see, each one of these polygons was subdivided, and basically we have 4 polygons right now instead of 1. And it's like a geometry progression. Each one of these polygons will become 4 after you press this divide button again. You see? And again. This is a point of subdivision, basically. It's the main point of subdivision, to increase density of your mesh while still keeping normal mesh structure from Zremesher, and it actually gives you a very smooth, like shiny surface like you can see here. And we have already 341 active points here. If I want to proceed, I will be pressing divide button until I will get the amount of polygons I actually need for my model. It's already 1,300,000, and I can keep going easily. 5 million. 21 million. With Dynamesh, you will never get 21 million. That's very important to understand. Subdividing your model will allow you to get much denser mesh than you will ever achieve with Dynamesh. Dynamesh maximum gives you 7 million at max, but usually it's around 4 million on any model you will get. I will show you it right now. We will right now remove subdivisions by basically adjusting the slider and putting our subdivision level to 1 and deleting higher subdivisions. We don't want to keep them because when we just put our slider to 1 and didn't delete higher subdivision levels, we can see that our model right now have 5,000 active points. Yes, because it's actually 5,000, but because we didn't delete our subdivision history here, we still have total points 21 million, and you don't want to keep them because it will slow down your computer very much. If you have a lot of such models, sometimes it can create problems. Just don't keep them if you don't want to use them. If you want to use them, of course, keep. Delete higher, and right now we have total points 5,000 again. If I will use Dynamesh right now on this model, even I put this open circle and put here, I will set to maximum value, remove blur, and Dynamesh it will still not give us 21 million. As I said, it gave us even less than 4 million, 3,970,000. You can see this is the maximum mesh density you can get. And as you can see, we still have this polygons that we had before. It's not smooth like it was with our subdivision when we use divide button here. It's actually you can see all of these polygons, and sometimes you don't need them. You don't want to Dynamesh your model at such high values, and after that go with your smooth brush and try to smooth it out, because actually takes a lot of time. Why would you be doing this? And look, it doesn't even give us absolutely perfect result. Why would you be doing it if you can just Zremesh your model and divide it? There is much more to this when it comes to Zremesh and dividing, but for you to actually understand it, you have to know what polygroups are, and we have to actually proceed a little bit further in our education. Like when it comes to Zbrush, you have to know more about Zbrush for me to be able to explain you this point, very important like functions of Zremesh. Right now I cannot do it still yet, but don't worry, we will for sure go through them to its own time. Okay, I will check right now. Maybe I can say something else about Zremesher right now for you. This is very self-explanatory. I will basically right now, 1 second. Yeah, 5,000 polygons we have, and here next to the adapt button we have the same half and double buttons. I will remove adapt right now. I don't need it. Same means that we will have the same active points more or less. It tries to make it same, but it's never the same. It's very close to the amount of points you had before. After I press Zremesh, it will give us close amount, 4,700. Yeah, it's pretty close. If I will, for example, for you to understand that it really gives you good close values, I will increase our points number to 85,000. If we will try to Zremesh our model using the same button, it will also give us most probably 84,000, which is, I think, very close. As you can see how long it takes to Zremesh your model compared to Dynameshing. Okay, it's 77, but you understood the point. It's very close. If I will press half here, it will actually divide it by 2. And double amount of polygons is also very self-explanatory. I will even not try to use it right now because it will just double your polygons. You already understand what it does. All of these functions, I think we will not go through them right now. Yes, I think here's a button, retry button. Previously in older versions of Zbrush, we didn't even have this button, but right now if I will basically press on this retry button, it will try to Zremesh your model again using the same parameters. It will not actually change any density of your mesh. It will just try to use different algorithms while Zremeshing your model. It's sometimes handy when you try to make some hard surface models, but in our case, if we will work with organic models, we actually don't need it. I very, very rarely use this retry button, and I don't think that it's even worth mentioning, to be honest. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's it. You studied today how to use Dynamesh. You studied how to use Zremesher, and we talked a little bit about subdivisions, about this basically divide option, what it does. We will talk about it much more in the future. It's a very, very important concept of sculpting in Zbrush. We will just, I think, not concentrate on it right now, but in the future, we will talk about it a lot. I will show you a lot of different examples. I think that's all. Thank you for watching. It's my pleasure to share my knowledge with you, and please subscribe to the channel. I will try to create more of such helpful videos for you in the future. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. See you soon in my next video.